Good evening, everybody. I wanted to show y'all something that's just so fascinating about these chickens. Something that has just absolutely changed our pastures and our land completely. And it's really pretty simple. If you look right here, we'll come down in here a little bit closer, see what they're doing. If you can see that one back there, it's just kind of eating. Scratch every now and then. They're on an ant bed right now. It's a pretty dry ant bed, but they're finding ants in there, and they're eating those ants, and they're scratching them out. Now, there's not that many in that ant bed because it's so dry, but we're in a pretty dry time of the year right now. But what is so fascinating about about these chickens, we've got chickens all over our pastures right now, and we've just kept them on our pastures in different places pretty steady for quite a while now. So I'll show you right here. This is an old ant bed that we just pulled off of. When it's not really dry, I mean, it is extremely dry right now. When it's not really dry, they'll actually flatten those ant beds completely. Now that's fairly flat, but they'll smooth it completely out and you'll never have that problem. And anybody that's ever brush hogged a pasture been out brush hogging a pasture on the side of a hill, and they've run up on the side of a huge ant mound, I know good and well you know just how bad that is. It's always on the uphill side, and it takes your tractor and just tips it like that, and you're already leaned over. And I'll tell you what, it sure does make you draw up. And I'm sure if it was the right ant bed and the right hill, I'm sure it could actually cause a problem. But the point is it's just they're unsightly all out in your pastures. But the ants, the biggest problem we have with the ants, and ants aren't all bad. Okay, so it's not like we want to get rid of them 100%. It's part of the regenerative thing that we've got going on here to actually keep ants. Some of your ants, but by controlling them, there's a lot of benefit. And one of the big benefits that we have is by cutting down on your ants, your earthworms have a better chance of building in their population. I'm going to tell you, we've been growing or doing this regenerative agriculture for several years now, since 2016. And one of the things that we've noticed is that the earthworms will start to get better and better because we're not spraying our pastures or anything like that, and we're doing so much good for the land. But the earthworms will start to come in, and then the ants will eat them up. They'll eat them down because we have so many fire ants in our part of the world. Now, all you guys in Missouri and up farther north than that, but especially Missouri and kind of North Arkansas and stuff, you guys don't have enough fire ants to keep all of your ticks down. So your ticks are absolutely terrible up in that part of the country. Here, the ticks aren't as bad. They're still fairly bad. You'll see some ticks on dogs and stuff, and I'll get one on me every now and then, but it's not like something I'm absolutely worried about or scared of all the time. Whereas in Missouri, if you go out in your pasture or something, you better check yourself for ticks no matter what. You know, and if you guys up north, y'all can just go ahead and let everybody know how true that is. But for us, this works out really, really well because these chickens will actually eat ticks and fire ants. They'll eat them both. So it's not like they're messing up the balance. Now, they will also eat earthworms in the area that they're at. But the nice thing is I have just noticed, having these chickens on our pasture, the things that I've noticed is, first of all, in our yard here, we don't see ant mounds popping up like we used to. We used to see them every time we'd mow, we'd knock down 5 or 6 ant mounds. But now it's like we don't hardly see any ant mounds, even in our yard, and we haven't had any chickens in our yard. We've just had chickens all the way around our yard, out here in the pastures. And so it's just made such a big difference doing that with the ants. But the best part is I've actually noticed the earthworm population rising along with now I don't know about the ticks. Like I said, we just haven't had very many ticks, but I'm seeing the ant population going down. So that's a good thing. That means that we're actually working in the positive. We're not working in the negative. We're actually moving forward and changing things. These birds down in here, we've got 3 different age groups down here. These birds are, there's an active ant bed right there. They haven't gone over that yet. that one right there is going to turn this way, and it's going to come right over top of it. When we come over it, like you can see ants. I get down close to that. They're active. They are all over the place. When they get over here, they're absolutely just going to smooth that completely out. And now sometimes if it's a really big ant bed, they won't kill them. They won't kill all of them. They'll put a big hurting on them. And the reason I know is because if I mow over top of an ant bed, that ant bed will grow up pretty close to the same size. But if the chicken tractor goes over it, then it will come up smaller if it ever comes up at all. But usually it doesn't come up at all. Usually they'll knock it right down and just kill it off. Here's an ant bed right here. This is an old one. You can kind of tell. I mean, it never came back. There's just nothing left there. This is where that was. Let's see. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then that's the 6th day. So this right here, this was 6 days ago. They were right here. So 6 days, that's plenty long enough for ants to come back if they're ever going to come back. Usually those ants, they'll come back the next day if there's anything left. They absolutely annihilated everything in that ant bed. There's nothing left. They killed it all, you know. So that's just phenomenal for me. I'm seeing a huge difference. They're putting a huge hurting on it. I got to tell you, I was a little worried. I knew that that chickens ate ants, but I didn't know how much they would eat. I wasn't sure if it was like a big difference, if it was kind of a small difference, but I was a little worried about putting them in, about them being locked in with those ants. So I was watching them close the first couple of times that we moved them over top of an ant bed. But man, it's like as soon as they get over that ant bed, they go after it. I mean, you saw where we were at the other chicken tractor up there. They just went after it. They go right after it. They take care of them ants quick. They don't mess around. There's some of our microgreens we just dumped in there as well. Constantly inoculating that soil with that brand new soil. It's awesome too. If you look down in here, yeah, they are just absolutely doing a wonderful job changing our pastures in a lot of ways for the better. But I just think it's awesome that they're really working that over. So, guys, I also made a YouTube short for any of you guys that don't watch our shorts. I made a little YouTube short that talked about this right here. Talked about how to do this. Y'all go check that out. I may make a full-length video too, just to kind of give you a little more details on it. But man, this works so good. It's so easy. It's so narrow. It's less likely if we ever have cows in here, we don't have to worry about it as much. It just works out really, really well, and it's cheap too. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna sign off. I just wanted to come in here and spend the evening with you, kind of show you a couple different places. You can see right here. This is another. I know that's the same active ant bed I just showed you. This is one that got hit by a brush hog. It was never active in the first place. I don't think it is anyway. I'm digging my hand all in there. But no, I've just seen a big difference, guys. At first, I wasn't sure. I thought I was just kind of lying to myself. You know, sometimes you get excited about something. You tell yourself something's happening and it really isn't happening. But when I started noticing that the ant beds popping up in the yard were not just a little bit less frequent, but significantly less. I'm talking like maybe 80% less ants popping up in our yard. It was so often every single time we'd mow. And it's time to mow already up here. But every time we'd mow, guys, there would be ant beds just popping up everywhere. And if you ever missed a mowing, like if you went on vacation or something and it was gone for a little bit, man, it would just, you'd come back and you'd have to mow and there'd be ant mounds everywhere. You'd have to mow slower just to get over top of them. But anyway, guys, I'm excited about it. It's working out really, really well. Very happy about it. We got a couple other things in the works right now with some other chickens. So y'all stay tuned for that. These chickens, they seem to be doing good. We've got about 70 birds in this tractor. We're gonna cut them in half, get them down to about 35 a piece here pretty soon. You really don't want any more than 40 birds once they start getting, once they get to about this age right here or a little bit older. You don't want any more than 40 birds. Right now they're fine, but here in just a couple days, we're probably gonna split them in half. All right, guys. Like, subscribe, hit the bell.